Welcome back to Dinar Community Channel. Something is happening behind the scenes of the global financial system. A quiet but deliberate move is being made, not by bloggers, speculators, or anonymous currency forums, but by one of the most powerful banking institutions in the world, J.P. Morgan Chase. And while the media stays silent, the internal data tells a completely different story. In confidential memos, international wire movements, and foreign currency holdings, one trend is becoming impossible to ignore: J.P. Morgan is quietly acquiring Iraqi dinar. Not talking about it, not announcing it, just buying, strategically, stealthily, and increasingly. But the question that matters most isn't what they're doing. It's why. Because J.P. Morgan doesn't gamble. They don't chase hype. Their global footprint, multi-trillion-dollar portfolio, and direct coordination with the IMF, World Bank, and central banks across the globe give them early access to data, policy shifts, and insider-level forecasting tools that most of us could only dream of. So if they're positioning themselves in the Iraqi dinar, after decades of dormancy, doubt, and debate, what do they know that you don't? Stick with me, because in the next few minutes, you're going to see what might just be the biggest financial signal of 2025. And it's not coming from a blog or a tweet. It's coming from a financial titan that rarely makes public moves until it's already too late for everyone else to catch up. To understand this, let's rewind. Since 2003, the Iraqi dinar has been one of the most controversial currencies on the planet. Once valued at over $3 per dollar during Iraq's oil boom, it fell into near worthlessness after the war, trading at fractions of a cent. And for the past 2 decades, a fierce debate has raged: would the dinar ever return to its true value? Currency investors watched, central banks monitored, the IMF issued gradual reports. But there was always one major absence from the conversation: the large institutional players. Hedge funds, global investment banks, and most importantly, banks like J.P. Morgan. Until now, in the first quarter of 2025, financial analysts began noticing unusual spikes in foreign currency holding reports from J.P. Morgan's international custody services. These reports aren't widely publicized, but for those who know where to look, they're revealing. Amid the usual euro, yen, and pound fluctuations, a new addition appeared. Small at first, then larger, then consistent: the Iraqi dinar. At first, this was brushed off. Maybe it was part of a currency basket experiment. Maybe it was a client request. But then the pattern emerged: steady monthly increases. By April 2025, private FX liquidity pools showed evidence that J.P. Morgan had accumulated more dinar than several regional banks in the Middle East. So what does this mean? It means J.P. Morgan is preparing for something. Something they're not broadcasting. Something that hasn't been made public yet. And we have clues. Because while J.P. Morgan has been discreet about their dinar positioning, Iraq has not been quiet about their long-term financial goals. In early June 2025, Prime Minister Sadani gave a speech stating, quote, "Iraq is no longer in the shadow of foreign policy dependence. Our currency will reflect the true value of our resources and our independence." That same week, the Central Bank of Iraq completed final integration with the SWIFT GPI system and the Arab Regional Payment Platform. This wasn't random. That integration signaled something monumental. Iraq was ready to enter the global digital trade system with a stabilized, tradable, and scalable currency. And guess who was sitting in on those meetings? Representatives from J.P. Morgan. Now, let's go even deeper. Multiple reports from the Iraqi Ministry of Finance revealed that several U.S. institutions had applied for foreign asset custody clearance in the first half of 2025. Among them, J.P. Morgan Chase. Not just once, not just through one division, but through 3 subsidiaries, each specializing in digital custody, foreign currency reserves, and sovereign bond hedging. Why would J.P. Morgan need 3 separate applications to access Iraq's currency framework? Because they're not just buying dinar. They're building infrastructure around it. Infrastructure that includes digital conversion tools, cross-border remittance settlement options, and possibly, smart contract-based custodial accounts linked to the new Iraqi e-dinar network. That's right. J.P. Morgan isn't betting on the past. They're investing in the future. And the future of the dinar might not look like what we've seen in the past. It might be digital, it might be instantaneous, and it might be pegged, not to the dollar, but to oil, gold, or a regional asset basket supported by the Gulf Cooperation Council. Now, here's where things get even more compelling. Private reports from FX liquidity aggregators, these are the platforms banks use to trade currencies with one another, show that since June 15, a Tier 1 American bank has been placing large-scale limit orders on IQD trades at target values above $3.90 per USD. These are not speculative purchases. These are position-setting moves. Quiet accumulation before a price shift. And while no bank has publicly confirmed who placed these orders, analysts trace the IP routing of the order origin to none other than JP Morgan's Middle East FX division, headquartered in Bahrain. Coincidence, or confirmation? JP Morgan is many things, but reckless isn't one of them. They have access to IMF forecasting models, World Bank restructuring memos, and real-time global compliance data. If they're buying Dinar, it's not because they're hoping for a miracle. It's because they've seen the blueprint. A blueprint that includes the final phase of Iraq's economic sovereignty, IMF Article 8 compliance, full SWIFT and GPI integration, an upcoming announcement of Iraq's gold-backed reserve policy, and a regional oil pricing contract denominated in dinar, not dollars. That last one is critical. In May 2025, the Iraqi oil ministry signed a preliminary export contract with India and China that included language allowing settlement in native sovereign currency instead of USD. That currency, you guessed it, the dinar. JP Morgan is preparing for a world where the dinar isn't just traded, it's used. Used in oil, used in remittances, used in digital cross-border transactions across the Middle East and Asia. And you're not hearing about this on the news. Why? Because this isn't public strategy. This is private positioning. You see, the big players accumulate quietly. They don't warn the market. They don't chase headlines. They move before the door opens, so when it does, they're already inside. Now, let's talk about you. If you've been holding dinar for years, patiently, skeptically, and perhaps even quietly, you're not crazy. You're early, but now you need to be smart. Because the window between quiet accumulation and public activation is narrow. What should you be doing right now? First, verify the authenticity of your holdings. Make sure your IQD notes are verifiable, clean, and uncirculated where possible. Keep digital receipts and certificates of authenticity, especially if you plan to exchange at a higher tier. Second, start communicating with your bank's wealth management or foreign exchange division. Don't just walk into a branch. Ask about structured redemptions, tiered exchange programs, and non-disclosure options. There are insiders getting calls already. You should know how to position yourself in case you're contacted. Third, stay informed. Not all exchanges will be public. Not all banks will offer the same rate. And some offers may come with strings attached, structured payouts, reinvestment contracts, or tiered tax events. Knowledge is your leverage. Don't let ignorance cost you what you've waited years for. Fourth, watch JP Morgan. Not just what they say, but what they do. If they're expanding their FX teams, investing in cross-border blockchain solutions, or opening new Gulf region accounts, take note. Their moves are the early warning signs of major shifts. And finally, don't panic. Timing is important, but strategy is everything. Don't fall for pressure tactics, buyout scams, or social media noise. The revaluation process is complex, layered, and controlled. But if you're paying attention, you're already ahead of 95% of the market. Now let me ask you this, why would the biggest bank in America go out of its way to accumulate a currency most people still consider worthless? Why would they file multiple cross-border access requests, attend high-level economic summits, and build infrastructure around a currency that, according to the headlines, is unstable? The answer is simple. They see what's coming. And now, so do you. If this video opened your eyes, share it. Share it with everyone in the Dinar community. Share it with those who laughed at you for holding. Share it with those who think nothing is happening. Because behind the curtain, everything is happening. Subscribe to this channel for real-time updates, rate confirmations, exchange procedures, and private bank intel. Comment below, have you seen signs of JP Morgan involvement? Have you been contacted by your bank? Do you believe this is the final phase? Remember, the game isn't won in the spotlight. It's won in the shadows. And JP Morgan is already in position. For you, outro music rises slowly. Visuals of IQD stacks transitioning into digital transactions, JP Morgan Tower fading into a glowing exchange screen reading, IQD rate, $3.91 right pointing arrow $6.20. They know what's coming. Now, you do too. Like and subscribe for more videos.